to slow starts. Which of the Leafs or Canucks is in bigger trouble? Hey, everyone. Welcome into Off the Post. Rob Wong, joined as always by Steve Simmons, Bruce Garrioch, and Patrick Johnston. And guys, panic has set in for a couple of Canadian NHL markets, namely Toronto and Vancouver, both teams scuffling out of the gate. Bruce, I would have included the Senators, but they've picked up points in 9 of their last 10, so they're excluded from this conversation for now. But
10 of their last 11, Rob.
Oh, there you go. For clarification, 10 of their last 11, even better than I initially thought. Patrick, we'll start with you. The Canucks or Leafs, which team should be more concerned right now?
Well, I think it's supposed. How are we framing this question? I mean, the Canucks came into the season thinking they're a playoff team, but only just. Obviously, it's been crisis stations with injuries all season. Now, down without their number one goalie, Quinn Hughes, missing practice today. It is very much crisis mode here for sure. That said, the Leafs, we all thought were going to be better than this. I will say the difference is, you can just quickly look at the NHL team stats. You can see that at least the Leafs can score goals. The Canucks have been giving up too many goals and aren't punching quite their weight offensively, and a lot of that's about Elias Pettersson. But nonetheless, if I am concerned about what this team should be doing, I think I'm more concerned about the Leafs, just because they're giving up way too many goals, and that's a huge problem right now. The Canucks, we thought they'd plunder along. They're in a tough spot right now, but they're not far off what we thought they'd be. The Leafs, on the other hand, what a mess.
Somehow we've forgotten the Flames, by the way, who are single-handedly the worst team in Canada. Can't score at all. And are now going for the first pick, and good for them. I hope they get them. But the Leafs and the Canucks, it's two different stories that are somewhat the same. And the stories that are different, I look at the Canucks, and it's like there's a clock ticking.
Yeah.
And the clock is ticking as to at what point in time does Quinn Hughes say, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be on a team that's no good. I don't want to, I want to play with my brothers. I want to do something else. I think, Quinn Hughes is top 10 NHL player and gives it every night and does all the amazing things that he does. And the team's still not very good. And some of the things you thought would be okay aren't that okay. And goaltending's not been very good with the Canucks when it was supposed to be a strength. I'll flip to the Leafs. If you make a list of the 10 things you require to be successful in hockey, or almost any sport, but successful in hockey, and you have to play with speed. You have to be sharp defensively. You have to play with effort. You have to be physical. You can go through, why do Florida win the cup? You can go through the 10 things they do excessively well. Leafs don't do any of them well. Not one. There's not any trait in this season that you can point to and say it's right with this hockey club. Power play is no good. Penalty killing is no good. 5-on-5, they're not very good. They are slow. Losing Chris Tanev has been a bad thing because it exposes their entire defense, not just one defenseman, but all of them. And so he's not an upper echelon NHL player, but in their mix, his chemistry matters extensively. Now you take out Mitch Marner, there's 20 minutes you can't replace. So yeah, they're not better because Marner's gone, but they're not this bad because Marner's gone either, because he wasn't playing the other 40 minutes. He was playing his 20. So why are they not better in the other 40? Right now, you can look at the general manager, Brad Treliving, you can look at the coach, Craig Berube, and you can look at the entire operation and throw up your hands and saying, I honestly believe this. This is the worst Maple Leafs team that I have seen in the Austin Matthews era. And that's 10 years now. This is the 10th season. And this is the worst. It's not the worst roster. It's the worst team on the ice that I've seen in that time.
God bless you. You know what? I can say that up here in the frozen north, we're quite enjoying watching the Leafs meltdown that's going on right now. I just think when you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you knew it was going to be tough for them when they did lose Mitch Marner, and I know that he took a lot of the blame for what went on in the playoffs there. You knew it was going to be difficult for them. But I didn't think that they would have this difficult a time without him. And one of the things we've been hearing since he left is that, Brad Treliving is looking for a top six forward. And I don't think that changing the coach is an option. I think that Craig Berube is a fine coach. And I think one of the things that has to happen, though, is Toronto Maple Leafs, I think, are only 2 points out of a playoff spot as we speak right now. And the Vancouver Canucks are only 3 points out. So maybe out there on the left coast and up here in the frozen hinterland, we'll just take a step back from the windowsill for a minute. Enjoy the view.
I have to disagree with the standings aspect of all of this, because I don't care.
Look at the way the NHL is with these crazy overtime losses and the way they count 500.
I don't care what the standings have said. I don't. And I don't care because teams have to have an identity. Teams have to have a way in which they play. There is something about hockey that is different from all the other sports, and that is effort can overcome skill. We've seen it year after year after year, time after time. The checking line, the third line, effort is paramount to success. From day one of this season, this has looked like a slow hockey team, a disinterested hockey team, a team without onions, if you want to call it that. And so without leadership, and you could say you can't look at the coach and you can't look at the GM. I think you look at everyone right now. I think you have to look at everyone. And unless you're blind and seeing something that maybe I'm not seeing, even on nights they win. Like, look at the Boston.
I do think, I think they're having a hard time finding their identity. It's almost like they're a team without an identity at the moment, Steve.
Look at the Boston Bruins. Look at that roster. How in the hell are they doing what they're doing? Yeah. Like Pasternak, going to the Hall of Fame. We'll see you there. I'll be happy to write about it. But the rest of the team, other than Charlie McAvoy, it's a lot of nobodies.
Yeah, we love
a lot of nobodies doing great work. And they just beat the Leafs 2 in a row, and not just beat them. They freaking killed them.
I also feel the Canucks don't have an identity.
No, they don't. They don't. That said, it's interesting. I don't think there's many nights now where we'll say the Canucks didn't work hard. The problem is that they're just not good enough. And Quinn Hughes obviously is doing everything he can. He's been carrying an injury. We'll see how long this goes. I wrote this the other day. The look on his face post game, and he was very curt in his answers. And he's not presenting a publicly happy picture. And even in the toughest years, Bo Horvat would show up every day with a story to tell. And there's just not much of a story being told by Hughes right now, other than frustration. This team looked like it was going somewhere just a year ago, and then everything blew up last season, and now they're trying to kind of pivot, transition, whatever you want to call it. But how long is Hughes going to stick around for that? How patient is going to be with that? The team is working hard. That said, they are struggling defensively. The goalie, Demko's been pretty good, but now he's hurt, so it doesn't really matter. Defensively, they've been having troubles. They've been scoring goals, but they are getting outpaced. They're on special teams. Their penalty kills giving up too many goals. Their power play is not scoring enough. This is a team that does in the end also exactly that, lack for identity. For all the hard work, this isn't a team that you think about, okay, there are a bunch of Kiefer Sherwoods out there. They're going to paste you into the glass and score some goals. Kiefer Sherwood's having a great season, but I don't think anyone would say this team is playing Kiefer Sherwood hockey. Maybe they should. Maybe that would take them a long way. But as things go, I think exactly what Steve said. Like, the Leafs are so far off of where they should be. And I think the Bruins are a great example, because the Bruins are an example of a team that's got some stars, but they've got a long-standing, really, really good culture, really positive group there. You think about the way Jeremy Swayman has always led the hugs at the end of practice, what have you. This is a team that gets together and gets it done, and that is the lesson for every team in the NHL.
Guys, you know what I'm holding here is my wife is doing some Christmas crafts for a sale she's having. But this here red button, that's the panic button. And I'm just wondering which of you two is going to press it first. Now, Rob, pardon me if I'm wrong, but can you pull out the column from Steve Simmons, I think in June or so, when he said that Mark Shapiro and his buddy Ross Atkins should be shown the door?
I can show you many of those. There's a
So
long
I'm
list
going
of
to pick
those.
Steve to pick the push the panic button here. I'll put this
You know what?
nice craft down now.
They had 9 years to do both of them or either of them, and their starting lineup, by the way, Bruce, on opening day had Alan Roden in right field,
Who?
Will Wagner as the designated hitter, Anthony Santander in left, Addison Barger playing shortstop in
I'm
Buffalo.
sorry I did this, Rob. Sorry.
So yeah, management did a great job in putting that team together because it fell from the sky.
You
One
just
of
had
these
to poke
days,
the
Steve will
bear.
be right.
I did.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like he's heading down that road with the Leafs right now, and I just like him to take a little bit of a step
Here's the
back.
difference. Here's the difference. Craig Berube is about as fine a person as you're ever going to come across. Brad Treliving is about as fine a person as you're ever going to come across. If you can't cheer inside for those guys to succeed, just hopefully that they don't have to do all this messy stuff that's probably going to have to be done around here. You do, because they're such good people. Nobody was cheering on the inside for Mark Shapiro, even in the ninth inning of pitching. The guy doesn't even know how to pronounce his own name.
I told my wife, I think Steve thinks he's arrogant, and that might be putting it lightly.
All right,
Where
we're
were we?
way off the rails here, but I'm going to blame Bruce this time, which I usually do.
I've got the panic button right here. It's ready to go. Steve,
right.
I'm passing the torch from the frozen north to you in Hogtown to push the panic button.
And tonight it may well get some usage with the LA Kings being in town.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road for both of these teams, Vancouver and Toronto, to right the ship, and I'm sure we'll be talking about them again down the line here. Meanwhile, though, some sad news to pass along. Longtime New York Post hockey columnist Larry Brooks passing away at the age of 75. Brooks, an Elmer Ferguson Award winner, covering hockey for nearly 40 years. Steve, for a lot of fans, I think his infamous clashes with John Tortorella over the years really stand out, but Brooks clearly was much more than those interactions.
I wish in some ways that those things never happened, because the story of Larry Brooks is the story of every guy who wants to become a hockey writer or wants to become a beat guy or wants to become a columnist. You want to own your town. You want to own your market. You want to be the guy that when the story breaks, you have more about it. You have it clear. You have it concise. You're the place where people are going to turn to. Nobody in America, in the 40-some years I've been around the NHL, had the presence in his own market that Larry Brooks did. He was the place you turned to for New York Rangers news, and over the years, as time went on, as a columnist for league news, for CBA news, for anything that was going on players-wise. There's a handful of hockey writers. I've been doing this a long time. There's a handful of hockey writers I put in a Hall of Fame box, so to speak, and never mind the Elmer Ferguson, because some great ones win it and some not so great ones win it. In this case, Hall of Fame is absolutely mandatory for him as he did his job. And I don't know if anyone in my time covering the NHL has done it better than Larry Brooks.
I was saying to my wife here before we came on that Larry Brooks was the straw that stirred the drink with the New York Rangers and the NHL coverage and hockey coverage in the New York area. Steve, you and I go back to the old days where on Sundays you'd go down, get a coffee, and read the Sunday papers, and you picked up the Boston Globe for its Sunday NHL notebook, and you picked up the New York Post because of Larry Brooks' Sunday column. And obviously all of that has changed with the internet, but he was a must read. He always made me laugh when he used to refer to the NHL's headquarters as Sixth Avenue, and no guy had a better touch on CBA negotiations when he talked about drags on salaries, and it was almost like you were sitting in the negotiating room with the teams when you read Larry's columns on those. He'll be deeply missed. I think that I was shocked, quite frankly. He was 75 years old, and he loved covering the Rangers. He loved hockey, and I really feel for his family and friends.
There's two things that I highlight. I mean, you guys have all said it, but the New York Post's obit of him is remarkable and just told his story so well. But Molly Walker, who took over the Rangers beat directly from him for the Post, she wrote a quite moving tribute to him as this guy that she grew up reading, and insight into how he was and how he wanted to cover the team. And it's interesting you mentioned the CBA, Bruce, because that's one of the things she highlights is that basically their first conversation, he said, go read the CBA back to front and then come back to me with questions. And she said that was his main thing. If you wanted to understand hockey, you had to understand how it was structured and how rights were laid out and how money was divided up and all that, and that would give you a long way to understanding why the game is or at least the league is the way it is. And anyway, he was a fascinating guy. Definitely led the way. I mean, even for me, not necessarily with the Sunday column experience, but he was a guy that I would go and find, okay, what's Brooksy talking about? What's an idea I should be thinking about? What are things that I should be thinking about in terms of dealing with my team and asking questions? He'll be missed.
I'm glad you said that because I went every Sunday. My Sunday morning has been the same for a number of years. I get up, I check to make sure my column's online because sometimes it's not, and then that's my second stop was always, what's Brooksy got today?
Yeah.
And what I found is he always made me think, whether it was about CBA, whether it was about the league, and like you say, Patrick, you can ask a question about a Ranger and you're thinking, well, my team, the exact same thing is happening. I can ask that question.
Yeah. And
I found it was a learning experience and to read his column every week. And like Bruce said, before the internet, we all went searching for the papers, and now, you can read most of it online, but there's not as many good weekend reads as there used to be.
No.
And until he stopped doing it, pretty recently, I think within the last 2 months, that was go-to Sunday morning, had to be there reading.
Yeah, really incredible thoughts from you guys. A lasting legacy in this game, and as you said as well, he definitely will be missed. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Steve Simmons, Bruce Garrioch, Patrick Johnston, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.